Hey, Nerf Herders, I'm Addy Thomas.
And I'm Ben Milton.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Certain Point of View. We're getting close to 200 episodes. Can you believe that, Ben?
I can't believe that.
I think technically we're actually past 200 episodes, probably.
I think we have more episodes than listeners.
Well, on that note, don't forget you can go to our website and listen to all of the other podcasts that are connected to a Certain Point of View, because we're sort of a little bit of a network, you know?
Yeah.
We're a small network. We're a growing network, and
Yeah.
thanks to guys like Case Aiken and Jeff Moonen and Matt Storm and some new additions as well to the roster for a Certain Point of View.
Check out Reignite.
Yeah.
Very cool podcast.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about this podcast.
Absolutely. You can check out all of those podcasts on our website, certainpov.com. Hey, also, don't forget when you go to our website to check out Maria Monzone, who is my Liberty Mutual insurance agent. She's helped me get a great rate when it came to my auto insurance, to my renter's insurance, and also gave me a good lead in on business insurance as well for Certain Point of View Studios, as we're turning this into a little bit of a mobile operation as well. But she is such a great asset, great help, someone who can help you navigate all the complicated turns and twists that are part of the insurance world. You can find her contact information on our website. Just go to certainpov.com and click on support. We're going to get to some more Star Wars goodness because we actually have quite a lot to unpack today because there's just a lot happening right now. We just got out of New York City Comic Con. Well, I wish we just got out of it.
Oh, God, do I wish. Well, Case went. So technically we went.
Yeah, that's true.
As a brand, we went.
Yeah, so we got some represent. I think Jeff Moonen was there too.
Probably Matt was there as well. Everybody but us, I think.
I think so. I think so. I think you were probably there, you know, and any listener speaking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, but anyway, there's some news out of there. We also got some brand new information about the Mandalorian, Jon Favreau's new the new series coming from him that's going to be on Disney Play next year. And then we also had, while for broadcast we had the first episode of Star Wars Resistance, we actually had 3 episodes released to the Disney Now app, which of course Ben and I were going to watch all 3. So
naturally,
yeah, I mean I was going to watch anything and everything I could get my hands
yeah, but
on.
I was anticipating only one. I was
Right.
anticipating like a one hour episode.
Yeah,
Or
well,
like
I was
a
actually expecting a half-hour episode. I was surprised to see the first episode was technically 2 episodes packaged as an hour, so, but the premiere. So, and I think that's why, because I saw a tweet from Donald Faison that, hey, there's 4 episodes on the Disney Play app, and I was like, why aren't there 4? It's like, oh, it's because the first one was 42
it's a
minutes.
double, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, so we're going to get to all of that. We're going to start with the New York City Comic-Con news, and so we've got mostly publishing news at this point, and we've got some really cool stuff. We got to see a cover for the book that we heard about recently from Claudia Gray about Master and Apprentice, the Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan book. That looks really interesting.
It's amazing. I'm very excited about this book.
Yeah, that's expected in April of 2019. Then we also have 2 other major pieces of publishing news. So right now we've got, let's see, so we've got a new comic series, a 5-issue comic series from Chuck Wendig. And Chuck Wendig is the author of the Aftermath trilogy.
Oh, cool.
It's the first set of books that came out, in which it's sort of a collection of a lot of different stories of stuff that happens in between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens to kind of bridge that gap a bit. It's something that, you know, honestly, I haven't read that, but I probably should to kind of catch up on some of that information. I've heard pieces of info there, and it looks like there's a lot of breadcrumbs leading to some other stories that might be told in the future there. So I think that's really fascinating. What's really cool, though, is he's going to be the guy giving us another series on Darth Vader.
Hooray!
We're getting a lot of Vader content.
A lot of Vader
content. And, you know, normally I might actually say it's too much. Here's the thing. This is only a 5-issue series. But this has a little bit of a different twist to it. So each of these miniseries will actually follow, each issue of this miniseries will follow a different character or group that's reflecting on encounters with Darth Vader and how it's affected their lives.
Oh, interesting.
So, like, it could be... So, one of the
like the time that I invited Darth Vader to my Halloween party.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
and he spiked the punch. And everybody got sick.
So yeah, it could be one of some particular group of people. There's a great episode. One of my favorite episodes of the Batman animated series is I think it was called Almost Got 'Em, and it's a poker game with a bunch of Batman villains in like the back room of a cafe or a restaurant somewhere, and you got Killer Croc there, you got the Joker there, you got Poison Ivy, and they're all giving their stories of how they almost caught Batman in it. So it's
it's a fun idea.
Yeah, and it's fun seeing that from their perspective as well.
Right.
Since normally we see it from the hero's perspective.
Do we have any idea whose perspective we're going to be seeing? Have they leaked any of that information yet?
They've said the Acolytes of the Beyond is one group. It's a weird group of Darkseid cultists who made a brief appearance in Wendig's Aftermath series.
Okay.
I don't know anything about them, so clearly I need to read Aftermath.
Right.
But it sounds like they're not Sith, but again, Darkseid cultists.
Yeah.
So
I love how they're branching out of Jedi and Sith and finding other religions within the Star Wars universe.
Right, which was one of the cool things always about Clone Wars, especially with the Night Sisters. And then, of course, the Bendu in Rebels. I'm interested to see if we get any of that in Resistance. Right now, the stage doesn't look like it would happen there, but we didn't expect that for Rebels or Clone Wars either.
Right.
So I guess there's always that possibility.
We'll see.
Well, then the other big publishing news is we're getting a book called Alphabet Squadron, which sounds like a kid's book, but it's actually, it's not quite. So it's named Alphabet Squadron because each pilot flies one of the Star Wars iconic letter designated fighters, and they'll be set in the early days of the New Republic era after Return of the Jedi, as 5 pilots form a group to hunt down rogue Imperial elements. So
X-Wing, Y-Wing, B-Wing,
A-Wing.
A-Wing.
Yeah, A-B... a U-Wing. U-Wing is the other one that's in that one.
They're going to include that too. Okay, so it's 5. All right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, as soon as they mentioned hunting down the Imperial rogue elements, I'm like, okay, I'm down for that.
This could be fun.
Yeah. So
it's kind of a Munich in Star Wars.
Right. I have a feeling it won't get that dark.
Oh, that would be amazing if they
the
did.
phone call.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen.
No, probably not. That would be amazing, though.
Right. I think there are a lot of the Not My Star Wars group who will not like that.
No, they probably wouldn't.
Well, let's move on to the really, really big piece of news. We got information about The Mandalorian, and man, that is super exciting. I'll get into the description of it, but Ben, what are your first thoughts about this?
I mean, the picture is dope. We don't know a ton other than the 2 paragraphs that Favreau gave us. At least I don't. Maybe you'll give us some more information. But it looks amazing. Just the picture alone got me excited.
Yeah, with the one Mandalorian with the sort of the brownish color and the rifle.
Yeah, it looks like a spaghetti western type of setting. You know what I mean? It just has that feel to it of the gunslinger type of idea, and that's kind of what the description made it sound like too.
And I'll read that description real quick in case you didn't get a chance to see it, because
this is great.
So Favreau posted on his Instagram just a block of yellow text against black, the classic Star Wars open style, and it's just entitled "The Mandalorian." After stories of Jango and Boba Fett, another warrior emerges in the Star Wars universe. The Mandalorian is set after the fall of the Empire and before the emergence of the First Order. We follow the travails of a lone gunfighter in the outer reaches of the galaxy, far from the authority of the New Republic. I'm excited.
I think this has a lot of potential to fill in some of Snoke's backstory.
Yeah.
Because it's Outer Rim. So, you may hear some of the things that are going on as the First Order is kind of coming into its own, and then also the things that Thrawn was hinting about at the end of Rebels, of there's an even bigger threat out there, and stuff like that. I have a feeling some of those elements can be worked into this.
Yeah, even if it's not necessarily Snoke, I think you will start seeing. Of course, it's before the emergence of the First Order, but you can still have elements of the Empire, we talked about, the rogue elements of the Empire out in the outer reaches. So you can start getting the beginnings.
You have bounty hunters hunting them down and hunting Jedi down. Yeah, It has a lot of potential.
Right.
I'm very excited about it. And it even has like sort of like when you look at the old picture, remember what was the game that they were going to make? Was it
Star Wars 1313?
Yes.
I think 1313 was expected to have some Mandalorian elements in it.
No, but when you look at the picture, like
Yeah.
the way it's shot, it looks very much like the artwork.
Well, actually this looks more like the artwork for the other game that got canceled
Which one?
recently, which was rumored to have some connections with 1313. That was Amy Hennig's game.
Oh yeah,
The
yeah.
one from she worked on Uncharted,
Yes.
and that's the one that EA canceled, and
yeah,
the,
then it's
the
a
whole
whole big
studio.
mess.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, it looks like that
Has that feel
adventure
to it, yeah.
style.
Mhm.
Yeah, and again, going back to the Western sort of that exploration, all in frontier space.
Yeah.
Which I think that's definitely a great place to do Star Wars stories. It's not that you can't do Star Wars stories in a populated
Coruscant,
area. And,
yeah.
But I think Clone Wars proved that you can. But I think what a lot of people love about Star Wars is sort of the edges of space and everything. So,
Well, you look at Firefly. Like, I mean, Firefly
Yeah.
for a long time was the closest thing we had to Star Wars,
right.
and that's what it was. Like, it was cowboys in space. So
Yeah.
maybe finally Star Wars is doing a Firefly episode.
Right. Yeah. Now, what's really awesome is, aside from just sort of the description of this, Favreau's running this, but he's also going to be collaborating with a lot of really cool episodic directors. Among them, Dave Filoni of Clone Wars, and he's the vice president of Star Wars Animation right now. But Filoni will be directing the first episode. Other episodic directors include Deborah Chow, who's worked on Jessica Jones, Rick Famuyiwa, who worked on the movie Dope, which I've always
People have said is amazing.
right. And at one point, I think he was rumored to be taking on the Flash movie. I think he was
okay.
one of the names that was on a short list for that, and he's often been on the short list for a bunch of Marvel movies too. Bryce Dallas Howard.
I have one I'm curious about.
Yeah, apparently she's worked on something called Soulmates, which
If
I'm not...
she's half as good of a director as her dad,
Oh yeah,
We'll be
then
fine.
We're great. Yeah. And then of course, here's my favorite name on the list is Taika Waititi.
yes.
So
that's
I mean,
going to be
Thor
a crazy
Ragnarok.
episode.
You know,
That is going to be a crazy episode.
I'm interested to see if you're bringing Taika Waititi on. Like, yes, it's not that like
That's your droid episode.
right. Right. Well, like a TV series is a little different. Like, the director is a little less of the creative influence.
He's
when it
really
comes to
just
TV.
there to kind of like
execute everything
just say,
for the producer.
Start, stop.
Right. But
The writers.
You don't hire people of this caliber without them bringing a little
Something
bit of
to
their
the table.
flavor.
Right,
Yeah.
right. No, I agree. It's like when they bring Kevin Smith in to direct a Supergirl or Flash episode or
Right.
something like that.
You get a little bit of his
there's
flair
just,
to
there's
it.
just a little something. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
this is definitely different.
Yeah,
It's a different feel to it.
The same thing happened when J.J. Abrams actually directed an episode of The Office, and you can feel like, oh yeah, this is a J.J. Abrams.
Or when
yeah.
Tarantino did that for an episode of ER.
Yeah, that's right.
He had his trunk cam shot and everything. And you're
Yeah.
just like, all right, this is a Tarantino episode.
Right.
Like, it's good.
It'll be executive produced by Jon Favreau, of course, but also joining him will be Filoni. So Filoni has input on this series, which I'm really excited for. I think,
So based on that,
yeah.
and we talked about this last week. We talked about
Kathleen Kennedy, of course, is also
Of course.
an EP on this.
Of course.
And there's Colin Wilson and Karen Gilchrist are the co-executive producers. But
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
So we talked last week about the extension for Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah, for
She's got
3
3
years.
years, right?
Which is a very short extension.
It was a very short extension, and now you're like it's like they're grooming Filoni up
Yeah.
into like, oh well, you've mastered animation. Let's bring you in also for like live TV too, and maybe movies and stuff like that. Like it feels a little bit more like they are like what everybody's dream is that Filoni's going to take over at some point in time.
Right. It feels, like, because I messaged you and I was like, it kind of feels like they're grooming Filoni for that.
It
you know?
does. It does feel that way. The other possibility, and I've seen on the internet, is that the Favreau could take it.
Yeah.
I don't know that he would.
Yeah, I don't know that either. I mean,
That he has
I feel
ambition
like
to
he'd
be a studio head.
Yeah,
I don't know if he does or
I
wants
feel
to or
like
not.
he'd be good because one, he's a solid Star Wars fan, so that like as far as care for the property, he
Right.
has it. He already has history with Iron Man, and with the Marvel set, like he was right there at sort of the foundation of the
Right.
Marvel
Yeah.
Cinematic Universe. As far as big like planning out a whole slate, that's a whole other game. And
but you know what? He bumped heads with Marvel.
Yes.
And they eventually took him off of the Iron Man
but
movies.
that was also back when that was before Feige was able to separate himself out from Perlmutter's influences and all that.
So you think that was more of an Ike Perlmutter issue than a Feige?
I get that sense. And I mean, there's a number of things that can be an issue there, because Iron Man 2 obviously has some major issues with that with that particular movie. It feels like once they got out of the second phase of movies, they were finally able to shed some of their problems. Because even with Shane Black's Iron Man, they weren't allowed to choose the villain that he wanted.
Right.
He wanted a female villain, and
right.
she ended up being the number 2. And I love Iron Man 3 to the chagrin of many Marvel fans. But
it's a good movie.
Yeah,
I like it.
But
I'm with you.
But yeah, I mean, like if he got a chance to do that, I would have been much happier too, because I felt her role got short shrifted again, and that has a lot to do. There's so many. The thing is, there's so many factors with all of these. We talk about Star Wars and how the original trilogy is, in a lot of ways, some happy accidents, and is a great example of collaboration working at its best.
Yeah.
And how sometimes a singular vision isn't always the best way to go, because something like this is collaborative. We were talking about this on our bonus in a bonus episode that's coming out later this week about Lord of the Rings, and how Tolkien is able to have this singular vision, and that really works for Tolkien. And he understands universe building in such a great way, and so did Lucas. But the place that Star Wars is at right now does require someone a little bit different. Sam Raimi was great with those first 3 Spider-Man movies. Yes, Spider-Man 3 is not a great movie, but there's still those are his movies.
His vision, yeah.
It's yes, studio influence hurt that movie as well, but you know what? Kevin Feige in this new era of sort of nerd, franchise movies really understands how to sort of like pull a lot of disparate elements together, and nobody has quite put that together yet. It seems like Hasbro is still like waiting in the shadows,
waiting to see how it all kind of plays out.
Yeah,
especially what works, what doesn't work.
Yeah, especially with the monster universe collapsing and DC is not able to really get their legs under them.
Although Aquaman looks like it
looks fun,
yeah,
and Shazam looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It takes failures as well. I think there's impatience in a world in a news cycle that's not like 24 hours is a long
forever.
News cycle now.
Mm-hmm.
You think about with Twitter and social media how quick things cycle, where we have clickbait that everyone has to account for. Think about how even in sports, we on our sports podcast, when we were doing our football podcast, we were talking about how RG3 would say something crazy, or it wasn't even that crazy, but people would pick up on just 3 words and how he phrased it, and they micro analyze everything. And that happens with every press release that comes out, with every off statement at a con somewhere.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden it blows up into bigger news.
Chasing people down on the streets and asking them questions, and they say something off the cuff. And,
yeah. And then all of a sudden people are angry that Lando is pansexual because someone just kind of offhandedly said something about Lando. And then all of a sudden you have people up in you have whole groups of people that are like, "Yay, Lando's pansexual," and then you have all sorts of people who are like, "Oh my God, that's
What's
not
happening?
My Star Wars. You're corrupting my franchise." It's a weird environment to live in when all that
it is. We have a hard time siphoning through all of that information. It's just our brains aren't used to having to deal with that much information yet from an evolutionary standpoint, I think. Going back to Favreau, though,
that was a long way.
There's a long way to go. Boy, we really went down a rabbit hole there. Going back to Favreau, though, I think that his experience with Marvel maybe, and I'm just guessing here, feel free to put this on Twitter and blow it out of proportion, because we could use the press. If we had, if maybe he saw what happened at Marvel and was like, no, I can do that. I know what I want to do.
Yeah.
And he couldn't do it because he wasn't the studio head at Marvel. And so maybe he's fulfilling that now with Star Wars. And I'm fine with that. If that actually is what's happening, I'm totally cool with Favreau.
Well, you know what I think actually makes Favreau a really strong candidate for a studio head is not just that experience with Marvel. I think that helps. And now experience with this Star Wars series. But I think actually it's more than that. Is he has experience with a lot of beloved properties and adapting
Jumanji.
that. Yeah, or you mean the Jungle Book.
Jungle Book?
Yeah, exactly.
Did he do Jumanji as well? Didn't he do the Jumanji remakes?
No, he didn't.
Who was that? All right, I got to look this up. What all has he been in? Because he's done a lot of... You're right. He has worked on a lot of different property. Like,
yeah,
you always kind of think of him as like Swingers, but...
Yeah, that's still my Jon Favreau. And he's done like a really cool independent movie on his own outside of Swingers. Chef was one that I really, really liked. He's producing The Lion King. That's coming up, obviously.
Right. He obviously did Daredevil. He was in that. All right, hang on. I got to get to his...
No, yeah, he acted in the Ben Affleck Daredevil.
Yeah,
he was Foggy in that one.
Let's see. He's directed an episode of The Orville.
Yeah. Oh, he did Cowboys and Aliens. You know how much I dislike that.
He did an episode of The Office.
Yeah.
Revolution.
The big one, the one that got him Iron Man originally was Elf. That was the one that got him that movie. So.
Yeah, I forgot he directed Elf.
Yeah.
Man, that's such a beloved movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie. You sit on a throne of lies.
It's a Thara space adventure. I mean, that bombed, but I think it was a good learning experience.
And I actually kind of liked the TV series he did, Revolution. I know you weren't crazy about it.
I liked the idea of it. I thought ultimately it just didn't do much.
Yeah, it wasn't great, but it was a fun series.
Oh, so he produced Jungle Book. He produced the Shannara Chronicles.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that
he
too.
directed. He also directed the Jungle Book.
I don't think so.
If you click on director, you'll see it.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, and he should be doing Jungle Book 2 apparently as well.
I really liked that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't like it as much as I like the original Disney comic one, but
yeah, it was cool.
Yeah,
it was really cool.
Really cool. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. So, anyways, let's come back around. We were talking about Filoni being that guy. So
yeah, it could go to either one of those guys.
Yeah, and there's probably other candidates that we don't know of.
Yeah.
I'm sure Kiri Hart at Story Group is a possibility as well. Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure there are plenty of other candidates.
Or there's just some other studio head that they may bring in.
I mean, who knows if there's a guy sitting at Marvel right now? I mean, I'm sure that they could cross over.
Feige's like, I'm tired of doing Marvel. I want to do something else.
I mean, if he told that if he said that just offhandedly, I think it would become a reality like that.
Yeah, I mean, that guy's got so much juice. Like, who wouldn't hire him at this point? Of course. Probably Perlmutter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's the only guy right now in all of Hollywood who's like, screw that guy.
Right. Well, let's move on. So the big thing that we've got going for us this past weekend is we got Star Wars Resistance. We got a whole 3 episodes that we were able to watch. We're going to talk about the first episode, and we're going to talk about all 3 episodes actually today. So it gives us some space to do stuff in the next 2 weeks that won't be Resistance related. So if you only have watched the first episode, we'll let you know when we're done with the first episode, and we'll start talking about 2 and 3. You can always come back to this episode and listen back to that. But you can access all 3 of those episodes if you want to watch them on the Disney Now app. It's free to download. It's free to I believe it's free to watch as long as you connect it with like your cable or TV.
Yeah, I just watched. I have Fios, and I just watched it through my Fios account.
Right. So they're all
on Disney XD. Yeah.
Yeah. So perfect. Yeah. So if you're unable to watch it, just come back and you can still check out this episode. So anyway, so episode 1 we had pretty much a full hour. Once you had commercial breaks into that, and just it's a setup episode. It's establishing who all are going to be the players in this series, and we had some familiar characters to bridge the gap, and we got a chance to see Poe in this series, doing fancy flyboy Poe stuff.
Being Poe.
Yeah. But then we also got introduced to Kazuto, or Kaz, who is our new hero, our new Ezra.
That is an excellent way to describe him. Because as I was watching, I was having a really hard. I was like, "That's Ezra, right?" Like he even sounds like Ezra,
right? Well, he has that same sort of fish out of water. There's some significant differences, which I actually really appreciate. We'll get to that. But we sort of have Kaz as this New Republic pilot who ends up falling in with the Resistance and is assigned as a spy to this platform that's out in the Outer Rim or the Outer Reaches, Unknown Region, something like that, where people are racing and it's pretty cutthroat. So it's kind of like Mos Eisley in the middle of water.
Planet.
Yeah.
On a flying barge.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I feel that's the best way to describe it. So.
Yeah, it does have that feel to it.
Yeah, except you instead of pod races, you've got fighters racing.
Yeah.
On this platform. Out in the middle of nowhere. So, and Poe is talking to this guy who's an ex Rebel Alliance fighter to keep Kaz with him while he tries to investigate and find information about the First Order. Because right now they're they know that there's going to be a big attack coming from the First Order. This is supposed to, from what I understand, this series is supposed to sort of lead into the Force Awakens at some point because it's between the Poe comic series and Force Awakens. And that's already, that Poe comic series is actually fairly close to TFA, so I'm wondering how much time this is going to cover and where it ends or how far it crosses over into the new stuff.
How many seasons of this are we really going to get?
Right. I almost get this because of how Rebels they found a defined end. Mm-hmm. I have a feeling I get the sense that they'll do the same thing with this.
Yeah, I think we get probably 3-4 seasons out of this. And
then I kind of think 4 seasons is kind of where they'll go with this, which I'm all for. Planning for a defined end, actually kind of having an idea.
For sure, because the last thing you want is it just going on and on and on,
right?
And start losing its way and stop being interesting, and
exactly
Walking Deading it.
Yeah, and then also finding the opportunity to find other areas to do more cartoons,
right?
In other areas,
right?
In eras in the Star Wars
other
universe
stories,
as well. So, but yeah, so that's sort of our basic synopsis. So what do you think of the episode in general first?
In general, I really liked this episode. Of the 3 episodes, this was my favorite.
Really, this was your favorite?
This one was my favorite. I really enjoyed this episode. I really liked the establishment of the universe and where we are. It starts off with that great dogfight. With the new TIE fighter, the red TIE fighter, sort of the Red Baron of the season,
exactly.
I guess. Which was exactly what I thought of. I was like, oh, really, Red Baron? This is what we're doing?
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
They talked about dogfighting being a big part of this.
The dogfighting in this series is so far has been fantastic.
Yeah, the flight looks great.
Yeah, the animation is perfect.
Holy crap,
for
detail.
This. There's
good.
Great amounts of detail. There's great amounts of movement.
Yeah.
You really feel like these fighters are moving in space and from place to place and in the tight quarters and stuff like that. It's really, really well done. I don't miss the old animation style from Clone Wars and
Rebels. Which I love. I love
that too, but I don't miss it for this. I've heard people they're whatever, it's not the same. I don't miss it.
I'm astonished at the level of detail. I paused it at a moment and I looked at it and I was like, holy crap, that's not a normal animation frame right there.
Yeah.
There is crazy amounts of detail that they've put into this.
Yeah, I kind of want to go back and watch it because I feel like there's probably some Easter eggs.
Yeah, I bet
in some of the background scenes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
that I was just just watching. I was at work honestly, and I was just kind of watching off to the side.
Yeah.
While I was at work. So I didn't pay close attention to everything on screen, but I was listening. I had Bluetooth earbuds in, so I could just listen at the very least. But I liked it. I really liked the episode. I like the characters. As much as I'm kind of harping on the fact that, I'm not even harping. I mentioned that Kaz reminds me very much of Ezra.
Yeah.
It's not the same character, but they have a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
And then that just comes, I think, from the type of show that they're producing. They're producing a kids cartoon,
right? And you have to have a hero, that
a
you
young
can connect
adult,
with,
a young adult who's protagonist who is of that age group and going through some of the
he's childish, learning how to be responsible,
and, on an adult, and
although he's
issues.
a little bit older than the typical one he's more Luke's age than he is like Ahsoka or Ezra. Like Ahsoka is like what,
super
like
young.
11. Preteens maybe, and of course Ezra, sort of the same deal. So I thought that was
nice.
one interesting difference, because comparing some of like the big protagonists, like these sort of like hero's journey type of protagonists that we've had in Star Wars, you have Anakin as you get him from Jake Lloyd, young, annoying age. You got Ahsoka, and Ahsoka, that was first a little bit grating for a lot of people. Ezra was sort of the same deal for a lot of people. But then you also have Luke, who's who's
older and grating.
Yes, exactly. And you have Kaz, who's older and grating as well a little bit. I'm fine. Like, I'm used to it now, so I'm like...
I kind of expect it.
But what's interesting is, compared to all the others, there's one big difference that I think is sort of an interesting thing to explore. Yes, he's someone who has to learn responsibility, but I like the fact that this is a character that isn't like the street urchin this time. Mm-hmm. We don't have because you got Anakin.
He comes from a good family,
right, and a privileged family, and one where everything was sort of done for him. Mm-hmm. So now he's learning to have to grow up on his own. So already there is actually some interesting differences. Is it significant differences? We'll find out in the course of his hero's journey, which I also agree, but I already like that there is that sort of delineation from okay, we don't have the street urchin, everyone is complaining that Ezra was Space Aladdin, and Ahsoka was not very much like Anakin, where she was a little bit more free with her emotions. So you had the parallels between those two, which ended up creating some really cool stuff down the road, especially if you were patient for it with Ahsoka. And you didn't have to be patient for long, to be honest. But I do like that this character has some interesting differences as well. We didn't really get to know some of the other characters as much in detail. There was a lot more world building with this, but we do know that and we're limiting this to the first episode. We won't get into episode 2 or 3 just yet. But we also have now the I can't remember his name, but the guy that he's working for now, who was the ex-rebel pilot, and he's now fixing up a fighter. He has a racing team out on the platform as well. So. He seems sort of like the usual sort of he's going to be the mentor to our hero, kind of like the Kanan or Obi-Wan type figure. It seems like that's where this character is right now.
And that's, is it Yeager?
Yes.
Yeah. That's his name. Most definitely. Poe hands him off to him. So
pretty much instantly.
Yeah, so they don't have to pay.
We can't pay Oscar Isaac that much for this.
It was just all right, we just need you for this.
Right.
We show up and do a couple lines every other couple episodes or whatever, but we need this guy to really be the mentor figure.
Yeah, to do the heavy lifting.
Yeah. Which is fine, which is totally cool. I mean, Poe shouldn't be doing that unless he's with Poe running around the galaxy, but that's not his story. His story is to be a spy and to stay on this station and figure out what's going on. I mean, it was a little ridiculous. Like when you look at Poe meets this kid.
Oh yeah, and is instantly
you're gonna be a spy.
Yeah, I thought that was a little okay.
It was a little sudden. It was a little sudden. It was a little sudden, but we're kind of used to that in Star Wars.
Yeah,
of people just suddenly doing something that's kind of out of character.
Right.
But, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
To service the plot, it's fine.
That's Star Wars. That's A New Hope, through and through.
Anakin. Turning to the dark side out of nowhere.
Right. And Rogue One definitely has those issues,
too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a Star Wars trope at this point, and you just kind of go okay.
Yeah.
This is what it is. Don't think about it too much.
Right.
I liked how they used Princess Leia.
Yep.
And didn't use her.
Right.
Which is really, really cool. I mean, we get to see her.
Yeah.
And she feels very Princess Leia-ish.
Yeah.
which I really, really liked.
That's right. They didn't use the person they hired to voice her.
No,
Yeah.
we didn't hear her at all. We just see her, and yet you still feel like, oh yeah, that's definitely like the way they drew her. Again,
Yeah.
going back to how much detail is in this.
Yeah.
I was like it felt like Leia. Like
Yeah.
it really worked. Because like sometimes I felt like in Clone Wars the Padme character didn't feel very much like Padme in the movie.
Yeah. The voice was great.
The voice was great,
Yeah.
but just like her mannerisms and her facial expressions and stuff like that,
Sure.
sometimes didn't. I was like, that's a different character than
Yeah.
what we saw in the movies.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt they were spot on with Obi-Wan in that series.
Yes, for
Yeah.
sure.
Anakin was much more likable than he was in the movies.
He was. It really, really was. And it's not the actor's fault.
No, it's not Hayden Christensen's
No.
fault in one bit.
No,
Yeah.
we're huge Hayden fans.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but
I like Hayden. I
Yeah.
like Hayden a lot. I thought I have no problem with Hayden Christensen. I'd love to see him do more stuff. I'd love to see him in this last JJ film.
Yeah.
I'd love to see his
somehow,
Force Ghost Hayden would be great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I liked how they used that character. I thought that was good. Like she's referenced, she's admired, she's revered. We see her,
Yeah.
and then we don't,
Right.
and then it's done. So it was perfect. It was perfect. It was really well done.
Yeah. Do you have any guesses? Do you think any of our existing characters are the First Order spy?
Yes.
Jaeger?
No. Well, yeah, maybe.
I
Probably.
now, like, obviously this is so early, so obviously I'm probably wrong, but I could totally see Jaeger being.
I could see Jaeger being the guy.
because he doesn't want to be involved with the Resistance, and he could be tired of the fight.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
could see it like,
But you also have him as like sort of the mentor.
but that would be a good turn on that too.
It would be a good turn on that, but then who do you have step in as the mentor?
That's a whole yeah.
I
that's a whole
guess
deal.
what could happen is that Kaz like convinces him to not be
That's true.
the spy, and
That's true.
he does he double agents it,
Yeah.
and we get a hot Callus.
Right.
You get hot
Oh yeah,
Jaeger.
there you go. Yeah. I don't think that thing is gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be a thing.
It's not
this
going to be a
time.
thing.
Yeah.
Hashtag hot Jaeger.
Yeah, I think we'll wait to see someone else develop into that role.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah. So that's kind of, I guess that's where
That's
we
a
are
good
for
idea.
the first episode.
That's a good
yeah.
idea, having him be the bad guy.
Yeah, it'd be a nice turn on it. It'll be a little.
That
bit
would be a
fresh.
surprise. Yeah.
So.
One we didn't see coming.
Yeah. I kind of right now he's my pick.
Yeah.
But
Well, we
we'll
haven't
see.
really been introduced to everybody yet. Either.
Right, yeah, like the colonel or general or whoever is actually the head of the whole platform. We haven't been introduced
We haven't really
to him
seen
yet.
him yet. Yeah.
So-
We've seen Faison reference, but we haven't really been introduced to
Right.
him.
Obviously, there's Tam, who works for Jaeger as well, and then of course we've got Niku as well.
Right.
He was a fun character. I like Niku. He's fun.
Oh, yeah. At first I was like, oh, this guy's going to get annoying quick. And then I was like, oh, I like him.
Yeah.
I like him. This works for me.
Yeah. So we got Niku. Do we have? Oh, we did have. Why am I forgetting her name? Tora. Tora Doza was the other character we were introduced to. One of the racers, the person he races in the first episode.
Yes.
So
She's cool.
We did.
She
get
feels
introduced
very
to her.
much like a Overwatch character to me.
Right. She totally. I keep
was
on
like, is
thinking
she Diva?
Yeah.
Get out of my head.
I know. I saw that and I was like,
Is that Diva?
Yeah.
All right.
Even in the ads, I thought
Yeah.
she was kind of like Diva as well. So.
Which is totally cool. I
Yeah.
love that type of character.
But it's funny that you made the comparison to Overwatch. Like, I know part of what makes Overwatch special right now is that there isn't all this like extended story, but I want like actual playable story
Yeah.
in Overwatch.
Yeah.
And if they were to ever do an Overwatch series, like
Yeah.
this style
Would be
is
perfect.
for
Totally
it.
perfect for
So-
Overwatch. Yeah, I would love to see that.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's move on to episode 2. So again, if you have not gotten a chance to listen to watch episode 2, this is your time to say bye and bookmark
We'll see
this
you
and
soon.
come back.
Yeah, come back.
So anyway, so episode 2, we have the Triple Dark is what the episode title is, and this was actually my favorite episode of the 3.
Okay.
I wanted to see, like, okay, let's get past some of the establishment, Everything that was done in episode 1 was just kind of like, for the most part, by the numbers, and it was very good by the numbers, but I was like, okay, I want to see what some of the substance of the series feels like, and it definitely feels like season 1 of Rebels, an episode with Kaz this time instead of Ezra, where we're sort of, he learns something, he has an object lesson kind of, where, he messes up with something and now he has to fix a problem type of thing, which is also true of episode 3, but we'll focus on 2 right now, and it's like he has to learn to, like, he's not a mechanic, and he needs to learn to be responsible, and, he just wants to be a spy, and all that kind of stuff. So we have him interacting with other people on the platform, including someone he owes a lot of money to, that he shouldn't necessarily owe a lot of money to, and he also has this little trophy that he also feels is special. But then we also get a chance to see space pirates as an addition in this episode, because we have a major storm that moves in, and there was a spy apparently for the pirates who helps. Serves as sort of a spotter for the pirates to have attacks, and we have this I don't remember the name of the pirate, but it seemed important that he was named, and we'll almost assuredly see him again, since he's connected to we find out he's connected to the First Order as well. So we had a pirate attack. We had Kaz kind of fumble around a little bit, but then he eventually figured out a way to scare off the fighters without any credit for him as well. But we had one little bit of an adventure, but we also had some pretty interesting world building as far as the New Republic and the First Order were concerned. Well, what'd you feel about this episode?
I like this episode a lot. Yeah. There's a lot to like about this episode. There's not a lot to not like about this episode.
Yeah.
The tie-in with the First Order, I thought, really was the most important part. And they brought in Gwendolyn Christie for Phasma, which was great, because that's kind of like, I kind of want to see more of her and her being a badass, because I'm really disappointed in that character in the movies. Really disappointed. Like, Boba Fett level hype, Boba Fett level disappointment.
Yes. Well, you know what? Django had sort of the same thing.
He really did.
All those people with cool armor get the same.
Just get shafted. Like, you get cool armor, you get shit plot. Like, that's what's gonna happen. So I'm excited to see her get some screen time, because she did seem like a badass.
Yeah.
Like, even for the 30 seconds she was on screen, it was very cool.
Yeah.
I liked it. Kaz is the fish out of water, trying to figure his way out. Works really, really well. I like the fact that they're making him have a job and a career, and like, he's got to be undercover and actually achieve something,
right?
Instead of just being a spy. Like, that's one thing that we didn't see in Clone Wars. That's not something that we saw in Rebels, where they're just like, and this is what we do. Like, we go and we fight the Empire, or we fight, whoever. This is like, no, you got to be undercover, and for a long period of time. It's not just walk into a bar, give somebody a fake ID, and say, this is who I am. So I really like the world building that they did. I thought it was fun. There's not, just because I said the first 2 episodes were my favorite, it really doesn't mean I didn't like this one. I thought it was great. It was great. It was cool. Pirates aren't my favorite thing in the world. I don't know why.
Well, I saw Trandoshan, so that sort of sold me on it.
I saw Trandoshan too, and I was like, is that Bosk? I was like, and then I was like, it's not Bosk. This is even better.
Right? We got Trandoshans who aren't Bosk in Rebels as well.
Yes, I know. But I always fear like they're gonna go back to like a small, like, everything's tied together.
Right. This really does expand it out, because we didn't get, other than BB-8 being a big part of this series.
That's what I don't like.
Oh yeah,
that's the part I don't like.
It doesn't make a lot of sense that BB-8 is
makes
with them.
No damn sense.
Yeah,
it makes no sense. That is Poe's droid.
Yeah.
Like, why is he just like hanging out watching this kid?
Yeah.
Like, I get it. It's a big deal, but So
Yeah.
you don't send BB-8 for that.
Right.
Like, who's helping Poe fly his ship while he's
Right.
doing all this cool stuff? He can't do it by himself. It's a reason why they have astromech droids.
Yes.
Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. That's the one thing I don't like, and
Yeah.
I wish that he wasn't there.
Yeah, I could do without BB-8 as much as I love BB-8. Huge fan of BB-8, but yeah, I could
Last Jedi kind of soured me a little bit.
on BB-8.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know you. There was a BB-8 ex machina sort of feel in that movie. I get it. I don't hate BB-8.
I don't hate him,
Yeah.
but I don't need him. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, he's
Well,
gotten enough.
Yeah, like once BB-8 pops up with walker legs, like that was a little like, okay. I mean, I enjoyed the moment of it, you know, but yeah, I get
You're
it.
like, all right.
I get it.
Yeah, that's enough. Because if we have BB-8, we don't need it. It's like a Batman thing. It's like Batman with enough time can.
Yeah, BB-8 with enough time
yeah,
can beat Superman.
Yeah, totally. That's how I feel it is at this point. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, enough
Yeah.
for BB-8. Because I liked his initial droid.
Yeah.
His initial droid I really liked.
Yeah.
And I like the junk droid.
Yeah, the Buckethead. Yeah, I like the new droid. I'm
Yeah,
for,
like I want the new droids. Like I don't need BB-8
Yeah, I don't know
in
why
this.
we
in the
have
same
BB-8.
way. Yeah, in the same way that like, I was glad that they had Chopper.
Yes.
Like I really
Chopper is one of my
Chopper's
favorite droids.
characters.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like give me a new droid. I don't need BB-8.
Yeah.
Like there's no reason for him to be there.
Yeah.
Other than
I'm interested to see.
toy sales.
Yeah. Well. They'll still have the BB-8 toy sales even without
Exactly.
the series.
Exactly.
But I'm interested to see. I do think there's going to be a reason for that later on.
And I hope he actually gets written off this first season.
Yeah.
Like he's there for a little while and then
He ends up going
back to Poe where he belongs.
Yeah, I also imagine like the way that like season 1 of Rebels, like because once you learn about Fulcrum and Ahsoka, like the series
Really
like, sort of
opens up,
parameters
yeah.
opens up, you know, because like that first season they stay on Lothal, you know, and yes they eventually come back to Lothal, but at the end of season 1, like that's it for Lothal for a while. So I get the sense that that's probably going to happen in this series as well. That the platform might be the focus for this first season, and it might be something that shows up ongoing. But I do have the sense that we will get a little bit of planet hopping. I don't know how.
Well, at
long...
some point they're actually going to become Resistance fighter pilots.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
I mean, it's all set up, and like what I wonder is if any of these people become First Order. Like if we have.
Well,
like
there's
this...
certain. Well, we have to wait for the next episode to talk about that.
Yeah.
Because that's really where, like, the foreshadowing of that is there.
Exactly. So so let's move on to episode 3 at this point.
Okay.
So episode 3. We end up having a little bit of we find out about some other people on the platform. Kaz kind of makes friends with some sort of irresponsible teenagers who are also people who want to race as well. And in the course of it, he ends up sort of betraying Yeager a little bit. Like they steal
A lot of it.
Yeah, they steal some hyperfuel from him as well, Corellian hyperfuel. And he ends up saving this kid's life, but, you know, he also learns in the process, you know, one, he needs to be careful of who he trusts. But also that they sort of are not fans of him after all of that. So, you know, it's a lesson in who you should trust ultimately is what this episode's about.
Well, I think it was a little foreshadowing of like who his nemesis is going to be.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be that blonde kid, yeah.
I mean, who else do you got to hate that kid that, you know, is blonde and looks like an Aryan youth type of...
I mean, he looks so good in an Imperial outfit.
Right?
It would be such a natural fit for him. Just give him a tiki torch and he's good to go.
I mean, he just had, like, all those Rolf from Sound of Music vibes, you know?
Draco Malfoy.
Right.
Like, I mean, like, there's definitely a type in Hollywood that if you look Aryan, you're a bad guy. And that whatever. I think he will definitely see a lot more of that kid and that crew. Yeah, for sure.
You think they'll end up being First Order?
Yeah.
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 Or joining the First Order, I guess, yeah.
Yeah. That you know, I mean, like, I can also see him and that crew being the Imperial spies too.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'd say that they're the Imperial spies, necessarily. Seem a little too irresponsible.
They seem pretty willing to do whatever they got to do whatever they want to do.
Yeah,
which is
but
the
he
kind of
nearly died from Corellian hyperfuel. That would have been a very inauspicious end to the First Order pilot.
plot armor.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Plot armor. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
yeah.
Jaeger's probably who it is, but I wouldn't be surprised if they go
Yeah.
the obvious route and go with this kid.
Right. It's true. I imagine not all of the aces will fall in with the Resistance.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see who ends up, like, as we get introduced to some more of these characters that are on the platform and who he makes friends with. Like, because I'd be very interested to see if they're characters that he becomes friends with that join the First Order. If you have a little bit more of a split.
Well, the problem, and here's a problem that I have. It's a problem and it's not a problem. The First Order and the Empire are very, very human-centric.
Yeah.
Like, you never see aliens
That's true.
in with those. And I know it's been talked about in the books and stuff like that about how
Yeah.
there is racism
Right.
at play in this situation. But I wish like they wouldn't have done that, and I
Yeah.
wish that they would include alien races with the Empire.
Yeah.
And make more aliens
That would be
part of the bad guy force, and it's not just purebred white kids,
Right.
Like, I would like to see that branch out. Like, that's
Yeah.
the nice thing about Thrawn. Like, Thrawn,
He stands out.
he stands out, yeah. But he also defies the racism of the First Order.
Right, but he
which is
also,
nice.
like, they've made it clear that he's set apart from everybody else. You know?
Yeah.
Which helps him and also, in some ways, makes him very sympathetic when you learn his story
Mm-hmm.
of his rise, which is handled very well to still keep him cold and calculating.
Yeah, and be someone to be feared, yeah.
Right. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
But he's really the only one.
Yeah, everyone else is human,
Yeah.
is human, not just humanoid. So, yeah, I'd be
That's
interested
why
to
I'm
see.
like, it's clearly this white kid. He's clearly a bad guy.
At this point we can't, like, it's not going to be the Rhodian, you know?
Yeah. Hype Phase-On is not going to go to the First Order. Like,
Right.
we know that.
He's not going to suddenly don an admiral's garb or uniform or anything.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen. Well, too bad.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's also Captain Doza, who we haven't met yet, so...
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll
it's
see.
nice. It's a nice start, and they've done a very good job of creating a world very quickly that you care about.
Yeah.
Like that was interesting. Like I'm like, oh shit! Like, now we gotta wait 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well,
3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks for a new
3
episode.
weeks for a new episode.
Yeah, because we've already blazed ahead.
Yeah. I'm like, well, shit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to watch them again, because by the time that comes around, I'll have forgotten most
Right.
of it.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, so, but I really like I didn't. I was skeptical. I'll be honest. I was a little bit skeptical. I was like, are they gonna be able to capture the magic that they
Yeah.
had with Rebels? Like,
And Filoni isn't the lead producer on this one. He's
Right.
not the showrunner.
right.
So it's interesting. I think the group he has, is great. So
Yeah. I'm very impressed by the show. I can't wait to see more. And if this is what we're doing with Star Wars from now on, I'm totally down.
yeah. If I had to choose one form of, like, storytelling for Star Wars, it would just be the cartoons.
Yeah.
That
has been the most consistent and the best storytelling that we've gotten out of them.
Absolutely. And expansive as well.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's about it for us on this episode of Certain Point of View. Of course, you can let us know what you think about those episodes of Resistance. What are you excited about from publishing? What are you excited? Are you excited about The Mandalorian? Who do you think is there anybody else that we missed in terms of who's being groomed to take over Lucasfilm? Or does Kathleen Kennedy have even more time left at Lucasfilm as well? You can let us know on our website. We have all of our social media listed there, certainpov.com. Again, you can check that out on our website at certainpov.com. And until next time, stay scruffy, my nerfers.